Hello and welcome to the channel. My name is Annalisa and this is going to be an unboxing and book haul because I got a bunch of cash for Christmas that was specifically for me to buy books with, because shopping for people's Christmas gifts in a pandemic is not the easiest. So instead I got a shopping spree. This is a mix of used and new books. I almost never buy new books, so this was a special treat for Christmas, and I opened a few of the packages, but then I realized, hey, it'd be really cool to share the joy of seeing what they are. Even though like I know all the books I chose, I have somewhat forgotten, and also it's just really cool to actually see the physical thing, so I thought you might enjoy getting to do that with me. If what I'm wearing seems a bit odd for me, it is a recycled sari that has been turned into a multi-layered skirt slash, if you unfold it, it's a dress, or you can use it as a scarf. And the reason that that is happening is that I was gonna just film this in my nice pale green tunic, but I spilled lunch on that, didn't I? Better World books. So I got a mix of books I have already read and new to me books that are highly recommended. I think most of the used ones are ones I have already read, because most of the highly recommended ones are like new releases. And also some of the money went towards pre-orders, so some of these books I'll be getting later. So first book that comes out is Beverly Jenkins' A Wish and a Prayer, a Blessings novel, and this is because I read the first novel in the Blessings series by her in December, and I really liked it. It's all about this rich black woman buying a historically black town and turning it into a foster kid haven, basically, and that's really special to my heart, and I also really love the characters and the like intergenerational things going on, but my library only has the first book and then like the 9th, 10th, and 11th books, so I needed the books in between, and fortunately these are older books, so I can get them used. So this was like $4, so there'll probably be some more of those in here, like this one, A Second Helping. So this is probably, I probably got the second, third, fourth books from this series, so I think those will be really nice comfort reads and really nice to see the progression of the kids growing up and possibly getting more kids. And this must be, and this is another one of those, and this is a really interesting cover. It's got a funky shiny texture, but it's not a dust cover. It's like, I don't know, just a plasticky regular hardcover, but I really like this blue and purple and pink flowering trees thing. That's very fun, and it has some library stickers on it, because a lot of the Better World books are former library books, but I have lots of experience taking those off. There are also several romances in that series, as you could probably tell from the cover. And then, Fire Touched by Patricia Briggs. This is another in the Mercy Thompson series. This is Mercy Thompson. She doesn't dress like this. And it's not actually paranormal romance. It's a paranormal mystery series that has some romance in it, but very few sex scenes. And they're always very short. But see that big creature in the back? It's really cool, and I like it a lot. And this is one of my favorite books from the series because it features some adoption themes that I really like. But I've talked about this series a fair amount, so you probably don't want to hear any more about it. But this has this is another library copy, so it's also just stuff printed on it, and it has one of these plasticky things on the dust cover, which means that it's in quite good condition, but I will want to take those off because it makes it very hard to take pictures of them, and they're also kind of ugly on the shelves because you can't see the bright colors, so I pretty much always take those off, which tends to damage the this part a bit, the inner hardcover, but libraries don't usually have very pretty editions that have those covers anyway, so that doesn't bother me. And I'm really happy to have this so that I can reread it whenever I want, even though it's a hardcover, which is my less preferred for reading because they are harder to hold up, but they are easier to hold open, so there are pros and cons. Okay, now this package is probably from bookshop.org, which is a shop that gives all its proceeds to brick and mortar indie bookshops, and so I really like buying from them whenever I buy something new, because we used to have one indie bookstore in my town, but it closed down during the pandemic. This is the pretty much only way I can support indie bookstores, so I'm happy to do that. And let's tear it open. Okay. Now, the first one we see is Wicked Fox, which is a very pretty edition, and got a tiny bit of tape on it, but that's easily removed, and it's a very pretty cover. And I haven't read this one yet, but I have heard it very highly praised, and it is specifically about gumihos, which are nine-tailed foxes from Korean lore, and they are succubus type creatures that seduce you and then eat you or suck out your life force, along those lines. And so this is a romance between a gumiho and a boy that she is supposed to be her prey. And I really like Korean folklore. I specifically have a thing for nine-tailed foxes, and I like paranormal stories centering women. So, and then this is part of a series that I will show you more of that I already unboxed. This is book 7. I have watched the anime of Snow White with the Red Hair. My library doesn't have the manga, and I usually don't buy manga because you have to pay like full paperback prices for a very large number of books, because manga series tend to be between 15 and 25 volumes, so it's a lot. And it's also a lot to request my library to buy, so if my library doesn't have it, I tend not to read manga. But with the Christmas money, there was enough to invest a little bit in that, and so I got a few of the early books, but I mostly got the books that tell the story that comes after the anime, because that's the part of the story that I'm missing out on. And so here are some of the ones that I already unboxed. I think I'm going to read a bunch of these during the Valentine's readathon. It is about a herbalist girl who runs away from her native country because the prince of her country is creeping on her, basically, and bumps into the prince of her neighboring country and makes friends with him. And in order to have a steady job and also be near him more, she gets a job being the herbalist at his castle. And I really love herbalists and all the stuff surrounding them, and in the anime we get to see a lot of her doing her herbalist job, and so that's a lot of fun, as well as the characters are all super adorable. I love the prince character. I love his 2 attendants. He has a warrior woman and a warrior man as his attendants, and their banter is awesome. This is our Snow White character with her co-worker who is like 12 or something, but he's one of the top herbalists in the country and he's super sweet. Here are the prince and his 2 attendants, and it is just so wholesome and uplifting, but yet, as anime tends to do, really gets you in the feelings and also looks at a lot of deep topics. And so I'm really excited to be able to find out where the story goes. Another one of the Mercy Thompson series, Night Broken, is the one right before Fire Touched, and so it's right in a row of several of my most favorite ones. And I especially like the ones where she has this magical walking stick spear thing. Those are really fun. Frostburned, I believe, comes right after Fire Touch. We get to further explore that adoption relationship and get into some more lore and introduce some bad guys that are going to be issues in later books. And then this is the first book in the Snow White with the Red Hair series. I'd like to see how closely this mirrors the anime, and then I can kind of get a taste for how that works. Plus, if I ever want to loan out the series, it would be helpful to be able to give someone the first book to see if they like it. And then we have the 2 others that I already opened, which were both from bookshop.org. One is Sorcery of Thorns in this really beautiful edition. It has that weird shortened cover thing that, much like some other people, I'm not really fond of and don't really understand the purpose of, but at least it's a pretty one with black roses on it. See that? But then once you lift this thing, it's a bunch of blurbs, which is kind of annoying. But I love the cover. I love this because it has ace wrap, it has bi wrap, it has a librarian who is also a warrior with a sword, and it has a wizard, and it has a demon thing that he has made a deal with, and the relationship between him, the librarian lady, and the demon reminds me so much of Calcifer, Howl, and Sophie from Howl's Moving Castle. The plot doesn't mirror it, but the relationships and the banter is kind of like a YA version of that middle grade book, and so I enjoyed that an inordinate amount, in addition to the whole idea of grimoires being sentient books thing being really cool. And then a book that I haven't read but that I am super excited for, and that is Nine Fox Gambit by Yoon Ha Lee. And I've only actually read one book by Yoon Ha Lee, but I follow him on Twitter. And in addition to loving the book that I read, which was The Dragon Pearl, part of the Rick Riordan Presents series, I just really have a huge squish on him as a person. That's platonic crush, because like every other day is a new post about his cat, who he refers to as the Catin, and it's usually how the cat is either going for a walk with his super cute little vest on, or how he's sitting on Yoon Ha Lee's computer or notebook when he's trying to write. And he also talks about his husband and his daughter, and it's just super cute. And he's also really great with how he writes women, and he includes a lot of trans characters in his work. And also this particular book comes very highly recommended from Angela from Literature Science Alliance. So with all those things put together, I'm sure I'm going to love this, and I'm so excited to own it. It is a sci-fi involving a ghost of a former general, and a lot of political intrigue with different political groups, and it's all very complicated. But Angela made a breakdown of the world building of this book, so that's gonna be really helpful. So those are the books that I got for Christmas. I love to know if you have any interest in these, if you enjoy manga, and if so, what is your favorite? Also anime, what is an anime you would like to read the manga of? If you'd like to leave an emoji, how about a fox for both of these books? Which, yes, Nine Fox Gambit is somewhat referring to the Gumiho legend. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!